Hello everyone, I thought I'd make a video about how I know which set I'm facing most of the time in the Battle Frontier. This is not information you really need to know if you just want to get gold or even 100 or for some facilities a couple hundred wins. You can get there without this knowledge, but it definitely helps a lot. So let's get into it. For the Battle Frontier, there are effectively 8 rounds, and all the rounds past round 8 are just round 8 again. It's the same trainers, same Pokemon. So in round 1, we have the weakest Pokemon, things like Magikarp, Weedle, but also Beedrill, Ariados. It's a kind of a wide range, but they're all still really weak. If you're playing in the factory, some of these Pokemon will not show up, like a Magikarp. Nobody wants to use a Magikarp, so it's not in the factory. So all the round 1 trainers have only these Pokemon. Then when we get to round 2, we get some mid-tier Pokemon. The Pokemon Game Freak didn't really think were strong enough to be on the higher rounds, but there are still some pretty strong Pokemon in here. These are single-stage Pokemon that aren't that great, like Absol. They're middle evolutions like Gloom, but also some third evolutions like Blossom. And for the round 1 Pokemon, I think all of them only have a single set, so you'll always face the same version. For these round 2 Pokemon, there will be 2 versions, and in round 2 you always face the first version, set 1. Then round 3, you face the second set of these mid-tier Pokemon. Now they actually have good moves like Gloom, can have Solar Beam, Sludge Bomb. Absol is Choice Band, Double Edge, Iron Tail, that sort of stuff. Like, these Pokemon are actually quite strong, at least some of them, but overall still very easy battles. Then in round 4, we get set 1 of the strong Pokemon. So the mid-tier Pokemon only have 2 sets, but the strong Pokemon, they have at least 4 sets. Most Pokemon that are considered to be in this strong category, they have 4 sets, but some have more. Like Starmie has 8, Gardevoir has 8, the legendaries have 6, Dragonite and Tyranitar have 10, but they don't show up until round 8 anyway. So yeah, we get the first set of the strong Pokemon. And then each round, round 5, set 2, 6, set 3, 7, set 4. And then round 8, anything can show up, including the legendaries. And for the factory, it basically works like this. You only get the set from each round. And in open level, you just start at basically round 4 in terms of which set you can encounter. But the rest of the factory is still, all the other things are still the same, like random AI. You still start with random AI. So yeah, for the factory, it's this simple. For other facilities, it's a little bit more complicated, because there are a lot of trainers and most of them can show up in multiple rounds. So in round 1, of course, we only have round 1 trainers, except the 7th battle of each round. Or, I guess the dome doesn't really count. So the final battle, you will face a trainer that is from the next round. A more difficult trainer. It's kind of like a boss battle. I'm not sure how it works in the pyramid. I'm also not sure how it works in the pike, to be honest, because those are like kind of weird with how you face trainers. In the dome, it is like stronger trainers and weaker trainers can be in the bracket, and you might face them early on, not at all, or at the end, because of how the dome works. But for something like the tower, the last battle is like a boss battle, and you'll face a stronger opponent with Pokemon from the next round. So what this means is that in round 1, of course, you only face round 1 Pokemon. But in round 2, you can face round 1 and round 2 Pokemon, because there will be 20 trainers from round 2, and there will be 20 trainers from round 1, and they'll be randomly selected to be your opponent. So you could just run into only round 1 Pokemon or only round 2 Pokemon or a mix, until of course the 7th battle, which is guaranteed to be a round 3 trainer. So in round 2, of course, it's going to be very obvious if you're running into an Oddish or a Gloom. But if you're in round 3, both of those have Gloom, and now you're not sure which one it is, if you don't know which round the trainer belongs to. And of course, after they make a move, maybe you'll recognize, okay, this is not a good move set, so it has to be set 1. But it becomes a little bit more complicated. Round 4, again, you know, like one of them will have Gloom, the other will have Vileplume. So you know the Vileplume is set 1, and the gloom is going to be set 2, so you know where the trainer belongs to. But if you're in round 5, then both round 4 and round 5 trainers are gonna have Vileplume. So you don't know if you don't know the trainer. But what you do know is that it's not set 3 or set 4, because those only show up in the later rounds. So at least half of the Pokemon are still eliminated, even if you don't know who you're facing. So it's still useful to know this. So I'll give you an example of a trainer. You can see here, these check marks, the green check marks, they show up normally. The golden check marks means they can show up as like the 7th battle, as the boss, basically. And something that's also good to know is that the stats of the Pokemon, each round, the IVs improve by 3. And it's based on, for the trainer, the stats are based on their original round. If they show up as a boss, that doesn't count, but the first one where they can show up as a normal trainer, that determines the IVs of the trainer. So if they show up in round 1, it's 3 IVs. If they show up in round 3, first time, and not as a boss, it's 9. This goes up to round 7 being 21, and then in round 8, it jumps up to 31 to be perfect. So let's have a look at the trainer at the bottom here, Cooper. This is his team, and these are all set 1s. It doesn't show here. This Bulbapedia page, I will link the one with the trainer names, and if you click on the name, it will bring you to the team. And if you want to use a tool like this, a resource, then if you're just getting gold, this is very useful because you can very easily see all the different movesets and items and stats. But if you're interested in like really learning more about the different sets and memorizing them, I recommend a different website, which we'll get to later. But here you can see the Snorlax here at the bottom, made it a little bit easier to read. You basically see everything you need to know. All the information is there, the moves, the item, the nature, the EVs. It can tell you everything if you want to know that. But if you're just getting gold, you don't need to look this sort of stuff up. You can just kind of struggle and figure things out for yourself as you go. If you do want to memorize more of the trainers and the Pokemon, I recommend Altissimo's website. And here's an example of how they are sorted here. I'll also link this. So these are some round 6 trainers. You can see at roster 63, like most trainers share a roster with at least one other trainer. Not always, but many of them do. Roster 63, all set 3 Pokemon. All of them. But it's not always the case. Roster 64 mostly set 3 Pokemon, however also has some mid-tier Pokemon like the Absol I was talking about, and these in the later rounds will always be set 2 because there's only 2 sets and the set 1 is really bad. So some of mostly the type specialists or themed trainers, they will have some of these Pokemon and it will always be set 2. And then if you look at roster 64, this is a bird keeper, a type specialist, and they often have more than one set for their Pokemon. Can be any set in this case, up to set 3, because this is a round 6 trainer, so set 4 doesn't exist yet. But here there are also some mid-tier Pokemon like Swellow and Murkrow, which are set 2. And then another page on Altissimo's website shows you exactly what each set is. This is not the easiest to look through if you're not sure which set exactly you're searching for, but it does show everything. But there are many websites or resources you can use to look up the exact set. But I think for learning the trainers, this is a very useful tool. So let's go to round 8 and up, because this is the most important part. Here there are a lot of different trainers. There are 100 trainers that can show up, not just 40 like in most other rounds. Round 1 also has 100 trainers, but it's also round 1, so it really doesn't matter. And to begin with, just like all the other rounds except round 1, there are 20 trainers from the previous round. So round 7, these have 21 IVs and not 31 like all the other trainers here. And these are all set 4 trainers. They only have set 4 Pokemon. And many of them share their sets, like the Youngster and the Lass. They share the same pool of Pokemon, the same roster, the Picnicker and the Camper. And I think the only ones that don't share the exact same roster are the Swimmers, but they still share a bunch of Pokemon. So that's the easiest trainers you can face, but there are many more. Here are the second easiest, generally speaking. These all share the same group of Pokemon, but they have different sets. And I'm not just talking about all the rangers share the same Pokemon, and then the triathletes on a bike, they have a different set or a different roster, and then the swimming triathletes have a different roster. No, they all have the same exact roster, and the set depends on which version of the trainer you're facing. So Stella the ranger and Rena the triathlete, they have this exact same Pokemon, and they're all set 1. And the easiest way to memorize this is just the women have set 1 and 2, and the men have set 3 and 4. And then as long as you know one name for set 1, 2, and one name for set 3, 4, if it isn't that name, then you know it's the other set. So these share a very large roster of Pokemon, which means that there's a pretty high chance they don't just have really strong Pokemon. So these are also usually the easier trainers. Then onto any set trainers. There are quite a lot of these. Many of them are type specialists, but there are also cool trainers, experts. There's a different gentleman. There are theme trainers like the collector who only has starter Pokemon. And some of these even have legendaries like the Rune Maniac, the expert, cool trainer, psychics, dragon tamer. They can have legendaries. But there are also some mid-tier Pokemon from like the fisherman, can have like Mantine, Octillery, and that sort of stuff. And some of these trainers have large rosters, some of them have very small rosters, like Anya the Beauty is a evolution specialist, so only has evolutions. There's a Hex Maniac that specializes in Ghost Dark, so that's like 8 Pokemon or something. And at the same time, other trainers have like huge rosters, so it can vary a lot from trainer to trainer. Then some more specific trainers. We have Beauty Dawn. She mostly has Pokemon with Attract, but not all of them. She also has like a Choice Band, Ursaring, but most of her Pokemon have Attract. Then there's Guitarist Raymond, who has Pokemon with Thunder Wave. So they could be Regice or it could be Ampharos. And there are triathletes. Fiona Gloria have set 1 and 2 Pokemon. Kind of like the set 1 and 2s we talked about earlier. However, that's only for like most of their water types. They also have ice types and fighting types that are both any set. This also includes like Lapras, who is also water. And then they have Starmie. They have 6 out of 8 Starmies. They don't have set 3 and 4, but they have all the other ones. Then Finn and Samir are the same, but they're set 3 and 4. And for Starmie, they're missing set 1 and 2 and have all the other ones. The Parasol ladies, they have only Pokemon with weather moves, so Sunny Day, Rain Dance, that sort of stuff. And then for the Pokemaniacs, Miller has set 1 and 2, and Marv has set 3 and 4. The exception is if you're in open level, Dragonite and Tyranitar can be any set. And then in the any set category, you can see Layton, who has any set on all of his Pokemon. And then the last group of trainers are legendary spammers. These guys only have legendaries unless you're in open level where they can have Dragonite and Tyranitar. And one other thing is that Doreen and Gillian, they have Latias. Nelson and Brian have Latios. And Reese has both, because he's just that cool. And that covers, I think, all of the trainers here. All 100 fall under one of these. And yeah, there's a very large variety. And a lot of the time you won't know which Pokemon you're facing, but at the same time there are quite a few battles where you can know what you're facing. And for example, if you're running into a set 1 trainer and they have a Swampert and you have a Latios, and you know, well, this Swampert has Rest, Curse, Counter, Earthquake, I can just switch in my Latios, set up Calm Mind to +6 for free and sweep, for example. And against Swampert 3 and 4, they have Ice Beam, so it's not as free. You might still want to do it, I don't know, depends on your team. But against Swampert 1, it's free. So, how do you learn which set has which Pokemon? And I don't have all of them memorized yet. I have a lot of them partially memorized. I have the most dangerous ones memorized, or the most common ones, some of them. But you can use tools like outside resources to help you, or you can use the game to your advantage. And the easiest way to do that is play the factory. Like I mentioned at the start, the first couple of rounds in the factory, you know exactly which set you're facing. And you also get to use them and check their summary screen. So you can memorize or write down or put it in a spreadsheet or whatever and learn that way. And yeah, you can take notes, you can use someone else's notes, like other people have already done this before you, and you can use that if you want to, or you can not use that if you don't want to. But the information is known and the game provides it to you through the factory. But also you can just play in other facilities and you can just write down what you learned from that as well. Like you can write down the trainer names, which round did they show up the first time, that sort of stuff. And then you can also know their sets. And then lastly, you can look it up. Like this is a very exact example. This link, look up at Eisencalc, where you can look up a trainer. It will show you exactly the Pokemon they can have. If you click on the Pokemon, it will show you all the sets they can have only for this trainer. So if the trainer only has set 1, it will only show set 1. But if they can have 4 sets, it will show 4 sets. And that can help you. And it is up to you what you want to do. If you're going for like gold, like I said, you don't need to know all this. You can get there without this, even with not the best teams. But I don't know, maybe you think this is interesting to try to play as well as possible. Or maybe you do want to go for a more serious streak, so you want to learn more about all the different sets. Then this information is very useful. So I'll put some links in the description that can help you if you need something. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. But yeah, I hope this is useful. And yeah, if you have anything else you think would be interesting for me to make a video like this about, because I'm still learning a lot about the Frontier, but at this point I also have a lot of experience and quite a bit of knowledge. So yeah, if you think something could be helpful, let me know. And yeah, let me know what you thought about this video. So thanks for watching and good luck with your Frontier adventures. And I hope you don't get triple horn drilled